time for overtime.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
3-2 pitch. Fastball belted deep right. Ball gone.
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime. Now with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you, hour number 2 on a Thursday. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. Happy Masters Day. We're getting it going from down in Augusta, Georgia, Thursday through Sunday. Can't wait for it. A little bit of a delayed start this morning from down in northern Georgia, but we are underway. Get you the latest scores here in just a moment. From the Masters, obviously a ton to look forward to for golf's greatest weekend. We'll be talking with one of the biggest names in golf, both nationally and here in the 605. Dave Austad of Austad's Golf will swing by in about 20 minutes on today's show. Latest Masters scoreboard, Danny Willett, Bryson DeChambeau, and others. It's a big tie. How many golfers is that? 5 at 3 under par to start out the day. Danny Willett, Bryson DeChambeau, Ryan Fox. Among those 5 golfers atop the leaderboard. Those golfers through roughly 5 to 10 holes, depending upon who you're talking about right now. All sorts of great moments to start off the day, including a Jack Nicklaus sighting, and so much more. And the first tee box to tee it up at Augusta National here on this Masters Thursday. Let's dive into what's in the remainder of the show. Dave Austad of Austad's Golf in about 20 minutes. NBA playoffs continue to take shape, and it's not in the Minnesota Timberwolves' favor. Still have a shot at the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Not looking particularly strong, but we'll wait and see what happens the rest of the way. Get you the latest update there between Denver, OKC, and Minnesota for the top seed in the Western Conference playoffs. Also dive into a pair of NFL draft previews later on this hour, the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. And we round out the show with a tremendous amount of news, good, bad, and ugly, with the latest edition of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's dive into your scorecard. First things first, hockey finals from yesterday. Chicago lost to St. Louis 5-2 on the road. Edmonton picks up a big win, 5-1 over visiting Vegas, 48-24-5, the new record for the Oilers. And it took overtime, but the Arizona Coyotes get a win in Vancouver, 4-3 over the Canucks, drops their record down to 48-22-9. Tonight in the NHL, Red Wings at Penguins, 6 o'clock. Jets at Stars, 7. Flames at Kings, 9:30. Just a few of a bigger smattering of games. All 3 of those games streamable on ESPN+. Your latest Western Conference standings, playoff clinching spots, Dallas, Colorado, and Winnipeg in the Central. Vancouver and Edmonton in the Pacific. Still hasn't wrapped up a spot, but more than likely going to be able to do that. The LA Kings, 93 points. And the wild card right now, Nashville has clinched a spot in the postseason with 95 points. Vegas has 92. And on the outside looking in, the St. Louis Blues, 89 points at present. Not eliminated just yet, but on the brink of elimination with just 3 games to play in their respective season. NBA Finals from last night. Dallas won in Miami, 111-92, behind a near triple-double from Luka Doncic. Milwaukee gets a win with Bobby Portis showing up in a big way for 30 points on the night. 117-99 win over Orlando. And the Denver Nuggets take care of business at home. Dominant second half. The second half margin, 67-53 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here's last night's final call, and as you'd expect, Denver's fired up for the Nuggets.
Arena crowd to its feet. There's the horde. Denver sits atop of the Western Conference. They take care of the Minnesota Timberwolves. The final tonight, 116-107. 2 games to go.
2 games to go. Denver with a 1-game advantage over both Minnesota and OKC. 56-24 for the Nuggets. 55-25 for both the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Thunder won last night, 127-89 against San Antonio. And Nuggets head coach Michael Malone had this to say about Nikola Jokic. It's time to give him even more of his due.
This game obviously was garnering so much attention and hype. Understandably so. You have 2 teams tied for first. The number 1 seed is on the line. Division rival. They've beaten us twice. And, for Nikola to go out there and put up a 40-piece the efficiency is just insane. So, yeah, hopefully the national audience will recognize greatness.
And they already recognize greatness with Nikola Jokic. Again, 41 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists for the Denver Big. 116-107 the final last night. Other final of note, 37 points for Devin Booker in a 124-108 win for Phoenix on the road over the Clippers. Tonight in the NBA, Bulls at Pistons, 6 o'clock. Knicks at Celtics at 6:30. Other games, Warriors at Blazers, 9 o'clock. Pelicans at Kings, 9 o'clock on TNT. There is all sorts of big news out of the NBA these days, as well as an update from Commissioner Adam Silver on a troubling situation in regards to betting on the game of basketball. Here's the latest and most recent news from Silver commenting on a potential suspension for a long time of Porter.
There's nothing more serious, I think, around this league when it comes to, gambling and betting on our games, and that is a direct player involvement. And so the investigation is ongoing, but, the consequences could be very severe.
Jonte Porter, of course, the mentioned individual, Toronto Raptors player, could potentially face a lifetime ban from the game. Again, too early to tell in the investigation, but that moments ago, Commissioner Adam Silver. Other news, Coach Calipari now officially the head coach at Arkansas, not at Kentucky. Here's himself on the decision to depart Lexington in favor of Arkansas.
We loved our time there. We gave every ounce of everything we had to that job, that state, and that school. So I walk away sad, but knowing no regrets. We left nothing on the table. There's not a whole lot more we could have tried to do.
Calipari officially introduced yesterday as the head coach at Arkansas. Major League Baseball finals from yesterday. Minnesota Twins back on the right track. They get their first home win of the season yesterday. Eddie Julian playing a big part in yesterday's win.
And a pitch. Hit high in the air, left field. Hit well. Back goes Hernandez to the wall. Looks up. Out of here. A two-homer game for Edward Julian, and the Twins back on top. 3-2.
3-2 would be yesterday's final. Minnesota 4-6, 1-4 at home on the season. Big win against the Dodgers. Dodgers win the series 2-1. Other finals, St. Louis lost at home to Philly 4-3. Colorado also lost at home to Arizona 5-3. Extra innings and a victory for Cleveland over the Chicago White Sox 7-6. And Milwaukee wins in Cincinnati. Final score there 7-2. NFL news, it's a lot of troubling news out of the NFL today, and it starts with Rashee Rice, as there has been a warrant issued for the Chiefs receiver's arrest.
Police in Dallas, Texas have issued arrest warrants for Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice and another man for their roles in a chain reaction car crash that left multiple people injured on March 30th. Rice was speeding in a Lamborghini along with Theodore Knox in a Corvette before the crash. They fled from the cars. Among the charges against Rice are aggravated assault and collision involving serious bodily injury.
Other news concerning the National Football League, football in general, is that O.J. Simpson, whose life as an American sports hero quickly turned when he was charged with the 1994 murders of his ex-wife and her friend, passed away yesterday at the age of 76. The news hitting this morning. Simpson's attorney confirmed his passing today to TMZ. Simpson ultimately acquitted of the stabbing to death of Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman in Los Angeles in one of the most sensational trials of the 20th century, but his life forever changed, went from being a sports idol to a celebrity in exile before being sentenced to 33 years in prison for a bungled 2007 Las Vegas hotel robbery. On the football field, Simpson, one of the game's all-time great running backs. Here's Adam Schefter on OJ, the football player.
From a football standpoint, we all know the trial of the century, the scene that unfolded during the NBA Finals when the Knicks and Rockets were playing is a night that, if you're old enough to remember, it was one of the nights you remember exactly where you were when all of this unfolded. It was an incredible time. From a football standpoint, before we even get to that, though, he was an incredible running back. Won the Heisman Trophy at USC in 1968. He established the then NCAA single-season rushing record. He went to Buffalo, where he won the NFL Most Valuable Player Award. Think about in today's day and age what that would be like for a running back to win MVP when he became the first player ever to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. He did it, 14 games. Now there's 17.
That's Adam Schefter of ESPN commenting on the passing of O.J. Simpson. Officially yesterday, confirmed this morning from multiple media sources, O.J. Simpson passing away due to complications of cancer at the age of 76. Now, lastly, let's talk Masters golf, officially getting underway today. Tiger Woods obviously draws the eyeballs, and he says the course is great, it's challenging, it's tough, and it hasn't changed much.
Every tee box has been changed since the first time I played. Every green has been changed. But the overall configuration of how they roll and how they move and the angles you take, that hasn't changed. That's the neat thing about this. I can still go into the mental Rolodex and bring out a few putts from the 90s that still move generally in that direction, and the effect that Race Creek has on certain shots and putts, and it means a lot.
Tiger Woods commenting on the Masters, obviously looking forward to a nice weekend, Thursday through Sunday, the coverage, hoping no further weather delays or issues. They did have a delayed start this morning. They were supposed to get started at 7 o'clock Central. They started a couple hours after that, but they are underway down in Augusta. The big news in terms of weather concerning our area sports scene is that rain and chilly weather today pushed the opener of a 4-game series between Detroit and the Twins back one day. There is more rain in the forecast tomorrow, which could further dent plans for Detroit kickstarting an 8-game homestand that includes 4 games with the Rangers. Today's game was pushed to Saturday as part of a straight doubleheader for the first time. First game time starting at 1:10 on Saturday. The second game starting approximately 40 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1. Last season, the Tigers compiled a 35-17 record against the Twins, Guardians, Royals, and White Sox, while finishing in second place in the AL Central. The Tigers began this season with a 3-game road sweep of the Chicago White Sox. Again, today's game postponed. That's why we're on at the regular time right now. And the doubleheader will be Saturday. Single game tomorrow in jeopardy due to continuing rain showers in the Twin Cities. Something that will probably not be delayed coming up on Saturday. 2-time defending football championship subdivision national champions South Dakota State will wrap up spring practices on Saturday with the program's annual spring game. Action set to begin at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday at the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex. Fans attending the spring game are asked to park in the lots west of the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex in Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium and enter through the First Bank and Trust. That's the northwest entrance of the stadium. Doors will open at 10 a.m. And again, no admission will be charged. 10:30 the start time for the spring game. A little bit more on that if you've never been out. It'll be 2 25-minute halves with a running clock and a brief halftime period. The squad will be split into offense and defense with quarterbacks wearing blue, and the defense will start the game with a 17-0 lead. I don't know who to root for in that particular contest. If you want to see some flashes on offense, or if you want to see that stout Jackrabbit defense stifle one of the best offenses at the FCS level year in and year out. Spring game coming up Saturday morning, 10:30 from Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium and the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex. South Dakota men's basketball will take an 11-day foreign tour to Italy this July and August. The Coyotes Italy excursion, July 29th through August the 8th, will be full of history, culture, food, and breathtaking views. The team will visit Rome, Florence, Venice, and Lake Como. And between the exploration and team building, the Yotes will also practice and play 3 games in Italy. One of the benefits of the foreign tour is that the trip grants USD a total of 10 additional practice dates in Vermilion prior to departure to prepare. More on that trip and what is a very cool trip for the Yotes. Go Yotes.com. Moving forward, Amazing Grace. Quite the headline for Augustana softball pitcher Grace Glanzer. She pitched a perfect game in an 8-0 win, while Game 2 yesterday between Augustana and University of Sioux Falls also went the way of the Vikings. They earned the sweep. Game 2, 12-1 the final. And with the sweep, Augustana softball is now 30-13 and 15-1 within the conference. Sioux Falls drops their record to 16-21 and 7-9 within conference play. Other big news, good news for the Vikings, bad news for the Cougars yesterday. Dre Dirksen hit 3 home runs to help the 24th-ranked Augustana baseball team collect a midweek sweep over Sioux Falls last night at Ronkin Field. Dirksen now sits in a tie for the first in the program's all-time home run list with 49 career homers. The Vikings leap to 24-6 overall and 16-4 in the conference. USF baseball 19-13, 12-10 within the NSIC. Lastly, here as we round out your Reliabank headlines of the day for hour number 2, as part of a failed process to assume majority ownership, Minnesota Timberwolves minority partners Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez officially submitted financial projections forecasting a sizable retreat in roster payroll that majority owner Glenn Taylor believed would jeopardize the franchise's ability to compete for a championship, according to sources in ESPN. In documents shared with Taylor, the NBA, and the Carlyle Group, a private equity firm, Lowry and Rodriguez rendered a budget projection as potential majority owners that would have lowered the Timberwolves' payroll to $171 million beginning next season, below the projected $172 million luxury tax threshold, according to ESPN. The Timberwolves would have gone from approximately a $25 million plus tax payment to a team receiving a tax distribution of approximately $6.5 million. After decades of futility, Timberwolves are still vying for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and Lowry and Rodriguez's cost-cutting projections were among the concerns that led Taylor to void a contract that would have finalized the sale of the Timberwolves and the Lynx to that partnership. Through separate spokespersons, both Taylor and the Lowry Rodriguez group declined comment, and in a recent memo, the NBA instructed both sides to refrain from publicly discussing the dispute. It's a very ugly situation. We've got limited details there, but it's pretty darn bad when you have somebody reneging on a deal to sell the team to a different group and to a different group to become the majority owners, and then saying, whoa, never mind, I changed my mind. That's kind of what we've seen from Glenn Taylor. At times has not been very popular as the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think fans and I think people associated with the team and the franchise and everyone in Minnesota was looking forward to a change of the guard, and right now it doesn't feel like that's happening anytime soon, and that's another ugly impact there as reportedly the A-Rod and Lowry Wolves payroll cuts were concerning Taylor and one of the reasons why he went back on that deal, but initially reported as financial concerns and missing payments along the process. That'll continue to rear its ugly head. More news, I'm sure, in the next couple days, weeks, and months in regards to that potential sale and if it's still happening or not of the Minnesota Timberwolves. We take the break right now. We come back and talk all things golf, all things Masters with Dave Austad of Austad's Golf. That's coming up next on this Thursday edition of Overtime.
College hoops and NBA basketball, the NFL and Major League Baseball. It's all here on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you on this Masters Thursday edition of Overtime. They're out there hitting the links down in Augusta. Beautiful venue, great course, all sorts of history, and a ton of intrigue this year. I'll pick maybe 5 golfers later in the show that I think have a decent shot to take home their first or second or maybe third green jacket. Also a members-only sale going on right now in celebration of an event unlike any other. Member-only sale at Austads.com. It's double rewards during the event. It started yesterday, runs through the 15th of April. Here now to talk golf, talk Masters, and much, much more is our friend Dave Austad of Austad's Golf. Dave, it's always great to talk to you. Welcome back to the show, and officially, happy golf season, my friend. How you doing?
Hey, I am doing awesome. If you're not having a good time on Masters Week, there's a problem, because this is the week we all are like, yes, spring is official. The flowers are blooming in Augusta. The birds are chirping. Yeah, you got to be in a good mood.
And I'm in a good mood, and I'm in a better mood because you got off the couch and decided to join us on the show today. That's awesome. And I won't take too much of your time today from your viewing because I know it's a busy time in terms of viewing the Masters at Augusta. It is extraordinary and so much fun. What does this week mean to you and your family's history in the sport? Because I know it means a lot to casual fans, but people that are so invested in golf, got to be pretty darn special year in and year out, right?
It's just a great way to start the golf season. This is the first major. It is the only event where it's at the same place every year, Augusta, Georgia, which is absolutely magical. The tournament is run by the members, which is crazy. You don't see that in a lot of other sports where the members are actually making the decisions on how things are going and how it's put together. And it's just a lot of fun. And you just see customers coming in our store. They're excited. They all got, hey, who's your pick? What's going on? What's the weather going to be like? Incredible excitement for this event.
And
great history.
The Masters getting underway today. Will run through Sunday, assuming there aren't any other weather concerns. Dave, do me a favor. I think you might have a headset in or something. If you could just unplug that. We're kind of getting a little uneven audio from you. We'll get right back to the conversation. Dave, when it comes to the Masters, there's so much history. There's so many memories. I remember my fondest memories in the sport of golf are sitting there, whether it was out in North Carolina at their summer home or back in Kentucky at their permanent home. My grandparents loved golf, and they loved playing. They loved watching, and the Masters was always on. Professional golf was always on. Those are my big memories, and my big Masters memory, probably Tiger Woods. I grew up in his heyday, 97, 98, 99, into the early 2000s. When it comes to your first or your formative Masters memories, what comes to mind for you in falling in love with the game down in Augusta?
Well, my first Masters that I actually went to was 87. 86, of course, was the year that Jack Nicklaus had his crazy run, and he won the Masters at 46 years old. 87 was almost as exciting. You had Larry Mize chip in and beat Greg Norman, and I was standing right at Amen Corner when he chipped in on number 11.
Wow.
And I'm like, the place was going crazy. I've been to a lot of sporting events. I have never experienced anything like that before or since when that entire place, because Larry Mize was a local Augusta boy, hadn't won a major tournament, and he beats Greg Norman with a chip in that would have probably gone into the water if it hadn't hit the pin and gone in. And I've had an opportunity to go I think I've probably been to Augusta 15, 20 times. And it is just, there's no place like it. It is absolutely amazing. And I'm so spoiled when I get invites to other tournaments. I'm kind of like, it's not the Masters, but, I'll check it out.
Oh, absolutely true. And again, the Masters officially underway today. We'll run through Sunday. We're talking with Dave Austad of Austad's Golf. You can check out their members-only sale right now, austads.com. A lot of great stuff going on in the golf world. And the preeminent question that a lot of people want to know is, who's going to win this thing? Who are a few golfers that come to mind that are playing well, that know the course, and might be able to get their first or a second or third or fourth green jacket come the end of the weekend?
Well, of course, there's a lot of intrigue, Bert, as you know, because you've got the live golf guys. It's the first time many of us have even seen them this year because they're invited to the Masters because, again, the members make the rules. So you have 15 live guys that are playing in this event. John Rahm, we haven't seen much of him lately. And, of course, Brooks Koepka is Mr. Major. He turns it on whenever there's a major going on. Those two are and Rahm is defending champion. Personally, I'd love to see Scottie Scheffler win. His wife is due next week. Just number one golfer in the world. Absolute incredible guy. I hope he plays well and wins. I'm also going to root for Rory. I think he got in the middle of this whole live golf PGA thing last year, and it just took his eye off the ball, and he's gone a long, long stretch without winning a major. He is due. He is really due.
And that's really true. Rory McIlroy obviously is due. There's a lot of other guys that are looking to don their first ever green jacket. Rory looking to do it for the first time and complete a career Grand Slam. Regardless of that, he's very accomplished, but he's still looking to win at every major across the board. Dave Austad of Austad's Golf, our guest here, hour number 2 of Overtime. Tell us a little bit on the happenings in the store. Obviously, the members-only sale probably driving a lot of what's going on these days. That runs through the 15th. But what's new in the golf world, new tech, new gear that's drawing people into the store these days?
Everything is new, Bert. Every year there's new stuff coming out. The number one driver that we've been selling 2-to-1 over everything else is the Callaway Smoke. You're going to see Mr. Rahm using it today, and he's going to be pounding it whenever he can use a driver. We've got new stuff from TaylorMade. Cobra's got some great product as well. And, of course, the cool thing I always have customers say, well, hey, what's the best clubs out there? And I used to be able to just nail it. Now I say, don't know. You have to come in and go through a fitting process and we'll bring in your current clubs, and we'll try all the new products, and we'll find one that is exactly right for your game. And it might be the Smoke, it might be the TaylorMade, it might be Ping. They got a great new club as well. It's doing extremely well. And typically for a fitting, we'll usually get 19 to 21 more yards for you with the new technology that's out there.
Hey.
And for fitting it correctly for your swing.
Yeah, and I could use 25 to 30 additional yards at least on my drives, Dave. Dave Austad of Austad's Golf, our guest here, hour number 2. We talk about club fitting. We talk about the driver, the Callaway Smoke you mentioned there. Let's talk about short game and putters, because I know the trends change, what's popular changes, and what's successful changes year in and year out. We saw the thicker grips recently. We've seen other things in the past. What is relatively new as far as putters go that you're seeing in-store and online for golf merch?
Putters have completely opened the door. If you watch the pros today, you'll probably see 20 to 30 different grips. You'll see, by grips, I mean just the way they're holding the club. You'll see the really thick grips, the small grips, the long clubs like Adam Scott's got. You've got the standard 33, 34-inch putters. So the whole door has been opened. And coming out and talking to our guys, we can hone you in on different putting strokes. Personally, I can't use a traditional putting grip because I have a terrible yip, and it usually just goes right by the cup. So, I do an overhand cup grip with my right hand, and it works extremely well. But we've got a lot of different types of putters from Callaway and from Odyssey, Ping, and we find the right club for you. Find a grip that's right for you, which is really important, and we can analyze that putter and make sure we get the right one. It makes a lot of difference.
And you can get hooked up with great gear at Austads.com right now. Members only sale that ran from yesterday is when it began. It runs through the weekend, the 15th of April. A lot of people in there, I'm sure, and online, stocking up on great deals. Double rewards points for members of that members-only sale. Austads.com, the place to go, or check them out in person here in the 605. Lastly, Dave, it's always a blast to talk to you. I got to know, how many rounds have you been able to squeeze in so far this year? Weather's been up and down, but I think we're in the clear now. How many total rounds, and what's the handicap looking like these days for you?
Well, I cheated. I went to Florida for 3 months, so I'm doing really well.
Okay.
The game is looking. My short game is on fire. I need to get a little more distance in my driver, and I got some folks that will help me out here. But I've had a lot of golf in, so I'm ready to go. And it's going to be 80 this weekend. There's going to be the courses are going to be full, and it's going to be fun to see.
Okay. Well, you didn't answer me. You said that you're on fire. Short game's going. What's the handicap looking like?
The handicap, normally people assume that I'm like really awesomely good. I have a solid 15 handicap working its way down.
Okay.
But I've lost some distance, man. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, as long as you're straight and narrow on that fairway, it's a good place to start. Dave, it's always great to talk to you. Again, Austads.com. Members only sale. If you're not a member yet, join the club. It's going to be the members only sale running through the 15th of April. Great stuff as always. Have a great viewership of the Masters over the weekend. We'll talk to you here in the near future, I'm sure. Happy golf season. Although you said you're well into the season thanks to that whole state down south known as Florida. Dave, great to talk to you as always. Thanks so much for the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. That's Dave Austad of Austad's Golf. Again, members only sale right now. Austads.com. You're not a member. They immediately give you an opportunity to join as soon as you visit their website. Golf clubs, balls, apparel, shoes, bags, accessories, and more. Austad's your place to go here in Sioux Falls and on the internet, Austads.com. Quickly here, latest Masters odds, and I'm going to pick 5 golfers that I like the value of. Scotty Scheffler, your odds-on favorite, according to DraftKings as of this morning at plus 400 odds. In this order, making your way down through the top 10. Rory, John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth, Matsuyama, Ludwig Aberg, and Joaquin Niemann in that top 10 group right now. Other guys making your way down. As I make my picks here, I got 5 golfers for you to keep an eye on. And knowing my luck, a lot of these guys are already probably off to very bad starts. But Jason Day feels like a tremendous value. For reference, Scotty Scheffler is plus 400 as an outright winner. Rory McIlroy second at plus 1,000. 6 times worse odds than Rory is Jason Day. He's at plus 6,000 with a slew of other golfers, Max Homa, Sam Burns, and a slew of other guys there. Plus 6,000 for Jason Day. Feels like a good value. His best finish, tied for second back in 2011, won the PGA Championship in 2015, and he has a second-place finish not only in Augusta, but at the U.S. Open and at the Open Championship. This dude knows how to play in the big events. I like Jason Day to compete this weekend. I also really like Shane Lowry, plus 4,500, another value pick, has never won the Masters, tied for third in 2022, one major victory at the Open Championship back in 2019. So close in all four majors, maybe, just maybe, Shane Lowry. Decent weekend this weekend down in Augusta. Tommy Fleetwood has never been close at Augusta. Tied for the 14th is the best finish of his career. Two-time runner-up at other majors. Never has won a major. Tommy Fleetwood, a guy that I like to compete this weekend. Also like Matsuyama, won the thing in 2021. Looking for his second green jacket. He's got a top 6 finish in all four majors. Just one major victory came at Augusta back in 2021. And a guy that has never won. A guy that is perennially underachieved in his golf career. And a guy that has won at 3 other majors, needs to win this someday. Please, 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 can Rory McIlroy get the job done this weekend? That would be tremendous. Rory McIlroy's odds, the second best right now, plus 1,000. A lot of people out there that follow golf say, hey, fade Rory. It's not going to happen ever at Augusta. I hope it happens this weekend. If not now, next year, sometime soon. Rory deserves the opportunity to win this thing and hopefully can get it done this weekend. Those are my 5. Rory, Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, and last but most certainly not least, Jason Day is my value pick at plus 6,000 for you Tiger Woods fans out there. Tiger right around that area as well as far as odds go. Trying to find him on this list here. Plus 10,000. Tiger Woods just a few spots behind Jason Day on the overall odds. DraftKings.com, DraftKings Sportsbook, the odds there. We take the break, back with NBA playoff talk and more on Overtime.
And coverage. We are ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
It's the Thursday edition of Overtime. Thanks for tuning us in and joining the show as always. ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. Tomorrow on the program, a chat with Creighton men's soccer head coach Johnny Torres as they're organizing a big soccer clinic with Sanford Sports, sanfordsports.com, the place to go to sign up your kid for that big clinic, coaches clinic, and a match against Yavapai tomorrow, or coming up on Saturday, rather, at the Sanford Sports Complex. More information, sanfordsports.com/events. Creighton men's soccer coach Johnny Torres tomorrow on the program. We'll also be talking Cowboys with RJ Ochoa, manager and editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys. Will talk about the Cowboys offseason, the disappointment, and the negativity around one of the more talented rosters in the NFL. Dallas Cowboys talk, NFL draft talk tomorrow on tap with RJ Ochoa. Now, though, it's time to talk NBA playoffs, and then we'll get you your pair of NFL draft previews for the day. Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Timberwolves lost last night to the Denver Nuggets in Denver. That final score, 116-107. In addition to that, OKC got a win, 127-89 over visiting San Antonio. So right now, as we sit here today and look at the NBA standings in the Western Conference, it's Denver, one game better than both Minnesota and OKC, and the Timberwolves do hold on to the tiebreaker over OKC. The Clippers are locked into a playoff spot. They cannot achieve a top 3 seed. They're the 4 at best. Dallas is the 5 right now. New Orleans is the 6 seed, and you're playing in the West. Phoenix, Sacramento, the LA Lakers, and the Golden State Warriors. Right now, they're in that order. Certainly could shuffle around just a little bit. The field of 10 is also set in the Eastern Conference. Nobody's dropping out of the playoff race, but certainly movers and shakers within the order of things. Boston, Milwaukee, and the New York Knicks. Milwaukee and the Knicks, by the way, separated by 1.5 games with just 2 games to go in the season for Milwaukee, 3 games to go for the Knicks. Cavaliers are the 4 seed, Orlando Magic the 5, the Pacers the 6, and the play-in right now, it takes 1 game for Philly to play their way out of the play-in, but they're currently the 7. They trail both Orlando and Indiana by just 1 game. So the odds are pretty good that Philadelphia, that has won 6 straight games, Orlando's lost 2 in a row. Philly feels like a team that is primed to get out of the play-in round. Philly is the 7 right now, followed by Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta. And that's your playoff race in the Eastern Conference. No longer a race to see if you'll make it. The teams are set in the top 10, but more so the intrigue lies in the East. Who's playing out of the play-in? Who's going to fall in? And in the West, who's going to hold the number 1 seed? So last night, Denver won. They're a game better than Minnesota and OKC. And unfortunately for Timberwolves fans and unfortunately for Thunder fans out there, the Nuggets have to win both games remaining, but they're not hard. They play at Memphis and at San Antonio, the final 2 games of the season. Spurs first, rather, and then the Grizzlies the 12th, which is tomorrow, the 14th, which is Sunday. That concludes the season. Denver wins those 2. They win the West and are the number 1 seed in the postseason. But from the Minnesota Timberwolves' perspective, they're a game back. They might get Karl-Anthony Towns back for one of their 2 remaining games. Still a lot to play for, even if the path to the number 1 seed got significantly harder with the loss last night. Star Tribune online saying the Wolves can clinch the number 2 seed by beating both Atlanta on Friday and Phoenix on Sunday. And they'll have the individual tiebreaker over Oklahoma City if that scenario plays out. But if they win both games, and Denver and Oklahoma City each lose 1 of their remaining 2 games, the Wolves would be the 1 seed. If they ended up in a 3-way tie with Denver and OKC, the Thunder would be the 1 and the Wolves would be the 2 based on the teams' records against one another. The Thunder went 3-1 against Denver this season, while the Wolves went 2-2 against both of those teams. Intrigue abounds. If I had to guess, just like we thought midpoint of the season when Karl-Anthony Towns went down, I thought it was Denver's seed to lose. And it feels like it's that way after the disappointing result last night. It was a 9-point win, 116 to 107 last night, and Denver de facto wraps up the number 1 seed. They got to finish the job, but the teams across from them, not too tremendously difficult or good. At San Antonio, at Memphis to round out the season. Denver takes care of business. They are the number 1 seed in the West. Now for your NFL draft previews today on the program. Quickly, though, an update on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's out the remainder of the regular season, according to a team announcement yesterday after an MRI confirmed a strain of his left soleus muscle in his calf. That's the muscle that extends from the back of the ankle, the Achilles area, up to the calf. That soleus muscle there. Antetokounmpo's left Achilles tendon is fully intact. Sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, and his return to play will depend on how quickly his left calf strain heals. Again, we saw a calf injury last year, put Karl-Anthony Towns out for a very long time. Giannis and the Bucks hoping that's not the case, as Milwaukee currently vying to lock up that number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They are 1.5 games better than the Knicks right now. Just a couple of games to go in their season. Lastly, from NBA talk, after arriving in a blockbuster trade this past offseason, the Boston Celtics and guard Drew Holiday have agreed on a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. That's according to ESPN.com and reported by Jason Glashan of Glashan Sports Management. Holiday is declining his player option for next year and has a long-term deal to stay as a focal point and a big piece of that Boston Celtics franchise moving forward. NFL draft previews here quickly. Still got the good, the bad, the ugly to get to on the other side of the break. The Minnesota Vikings hold 2 picks in the NFL draft's first round coming up in 2 weeks. They hold pick number 11 and pick number 23. Overall for Minnesota, they have 9 total picks in this year's draft right now. They've got 2 in the first, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the 5th, a 6th rounder, and 2 7th-round picks. So an opportunity to build some depth on an otherwise above-average roster in Minnesota. But the issue is, I firmly believe, and a lot of people believe, Minnesota's going to package those 2 first-rounders and maybe a first-rounder next year to get into the top 4, top 3, around that moment to get the quarterback of the future. Biggest needs for Minnesota, quarterback. Either Drake May, J.J. McCarthy are the most likely guys to be available and the most likely targets for Minnesota based on their draft capital and the needs of the other teams at the top of the draft. Defensive line, we heard Dustin Baker say it today. He said it over the last couple months here on the show. Defensive line's a big need for Minnesota, as is defensive back, cornerback primarily, maybe mix in some safety, and running back. I love Aaron Jones. I hate that he wears that stinking yucky purple color, but now I still think he's a really good player with a lot of gas left in the tank. But any way you slice it, he's above the age of 28, and that's when NFL teams start to think about the future of the running back position. I think they're going to add somebody via free agency or in the NFL draft at running back. So those are the positions there. Vikings will draft a quarterback in the first round. I'm very firm on that. Barring some crazy circumstance where they're not able to trade up, I would envision the Vikings going up and getting McCarthy or May at number 3 or number 4. The Philadelphia Eagles don't need a quarterback. They've got 8 total picks in this year's NFL draft. 1 in the first, 2 2s, a 4, 3 5s, and a 6. So that's a pretty good haul there for Philadelphia. 8 picks in the first 6 rounds, including 3 in the 5th and 1 in the 6th. Their big needs are cornerback, offensive line, wide receiver, and inside linebacker. They had their all-pro, all-world center retire this offseason. Maybe it's Jackson Powers Johnson. Maybe they go cornerback, a Kool-Aid McKinstry. Someone like that could be a fit in Philadelphia. Inside linebacker, not a good draft for your off-ball inside linebackers, Edgerrin Cooper, Junior Colson. Those are mid-round guys, 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounders. We'll see if one of them lands in Philadelphia. And wide receiver, take your pick, because you're not getting up there in the top end of the draft to get the Marvin Harrisons, the Roma Dunzes of the world. Philly might be strapped with somebody in the mid-rounds, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, somebody else that might be floating around, maybe Devontae Walker, Tez Walker of North Carolina. Those are your draft previews today. The Vikings and the Eagles tomorrow, Dolphins and Steelers as we make our way down from 32 and those teams without a pick all the way up to number 1 just in time for the draft 2 weeks from tonight. We take the break, the good, the bad, the ugly, quickly coming up next on Overtime.
Streaming live online and with the app, this is Overtime with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It is the Thursday edition of Overtime. Thanks so much for being with us. Tomorrow on the show, opportunity to win big, as always, with the High Noon Showdown. Also got the Friday Parlay posting up live. Opportunity to win Twins tickets and much, much more. Twins rained out today, might be rained out tomorrow as they look to get the series started against the Detroit Tigers. Keep you posted on all of that. A doubleheader officially scheduled for now on Saturday. Anticipated start time tomorrow for the Minnesota Twins is a 5 o'clock start time, so we'll wait and see exactly when that all gets going. Minnesota Twins, though, rained out today against Detroit. Time now, though, to round out this Thursday edition of the show with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Many days there are those who can be called a problem child. You know the ones. They have a tendency to display an ugly side. They have their whiny moments. Some display an outright bad side of themselves. And then there are those who stand out in a good way. Well, here they are. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, as always, good news first, and it's good news for fans of the Arkansas Razorbacks. John Calipari told a raucous crowd he's excited to lead Arkansas as he pumped his fist while Razorbacks fans cheered for him during his official intro in Fayetteville on Wednesday. Calipari, the former Kentucky head coach, said it was difficult to leave Lexington, but he believes Arkansas, which reached the Elite Eight twice in the Sweet 16 under former head coach Eric Musselman, is positioned to compete with the Blue Bloods. Kentucky is the bluest of blue, Calipari said after he was introduced. There's only a few schools like that, and I hate to tell you, Arkansas is one of them. That's not true right now, but it certainly could be in the near future with John Calipari as Arkansas Razorback basketball fans energized, to say the least, with the sudden influx of elite coaching in college basketball. Other news, this one bad or good, depending upon your perspective. The NHL is preparing a contingency plan that could relocate the Arizona Coyotes franchise to Utah as soon as next season. Even though the NHL remains convinced a franchise should be in Arizona, the league is skeptical, about the Coyotes' newest plan to build an arena in Phoenix, which involved Coyotes owner Alex Marullo's bid to win a land auction back in June. The NHL has prepared a backup option that would sell the team to Ryan and Ashley Smith, owners of the NBA's Utah Jazz, in a relocation effort to move the team to Salt Lake City. Other bad news here moving forward. Jontay Porter's situation very bad for the NBA, for the individual, and for the sports world in general. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said yesterday afternoon that Toronto Raptors forward Jontay Porter, who is under investigation by the league following multiple instances of betting irregularities over the past several months, could be banned permanently if what he's accused of is true, calling it a quote-unquote cardinal sin. I have an enormous range of discipline available to me, Silver said in a Midtown Manhattan hotel after the league's annual Board of Governors meetings, but it's a cardinal sin. What he's accused of in the NBA, and the ultimate extreme option I have is to ban him from the game. Suspicions arose from prop bets involving Porter for games back in January and March of this year in a story first reported by ESPN on March the 25th. Porter prop bets from those days wound up being the biggest moneymakers for each of them, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. The NBA has its own brushes with betting scandals in the past, namely the one involving former referee Tim Donaghy back in 2007, but the topic has exploded into the forefront of people's thinking as sports betting has been legalized in various states across the country over the past several years. It is a very strange and tough situation for Jontay Porter, and now potentially facing a lifetime ban if the investigation goes a certain way. Very much still up in arms, up in an investigation right now for Jontay Porter and the NBA and a potential betting scandal. We'll keep you posted on the latest news in regards to that. We'll say so long for today. Tomorrow on the show, can't wait to talk Creighton men's soccer and much, much more as Sanford Sports has a great event and camp coming up on Saturday. More info, sanfordsports.com/events. We'll say so long for now. Talk to you tomorrow at 11 when the next edition of Overtime rolls around right here on ESPN Sioux Falls.